I want to tell you a true story about a training flight that went horribly wrong in September 2018 when an Airbus A320 departed on the wrong runway and they only had 1006 meters of runway to get airborne. The Airbus A320 was flying from Sharjah International Airport, UAE to Salalah Airport in Oman. There were 42 passengers and it was a line training flight where the captain had 15,536 hours on the A320 and a total of 22,184 hours. The first officer has 159 hours on the A320 and is undergoing training with this captain. So Sharjah has one runway, which is runway 12 and runway 30 for the past 3 days. Runway 12 was in use, and on the day of the incident, the runway in use was runway 30. The first officer was the pilot flying. On that day, the pilots decided to take an intersection departure and also perform a single engine taxi. They decided that they will start the second engine on the taxi. Because it was a line training flight, a rolling takeoff needed to be done as part of the training syllabus. As the aircraft was lining up on the runway, the first officer called for the below the line checklist. Instead of turning left, the pilot turned right instead. Little did they know that they were facing the wrong direction of the runway. When the first officer put the thrust levers to man flex detent, the FMA is not showing the word runway because they are at the wrong runway direction. The first officer voiced out her concern and the captain finally realized what was going on. As the aircraft was rolling around 57 knots, the captain took control and put the thrust levers to toga. At this point, the aircraft has about 700 meters of runway to stop. Why the captain decided to take off and not abort, I have no idea. One possible reason is that he saw the piano keys at the runway threshold and thought maybe he did not have enough runway to stop. Anyway, when the aircraft reaches 109 knots, the captain put out flaps 2 to get more lift, which was quite instinctive, I must say, and about 132 knots, the captain rotated, and when he did that, the right main landing gear slammed into an approach line. So at this point, as a pilot, what would you do? Will you turn back or land? Or would you proceed to your destination? Well, do let me know in the comments. Before we continue, do click on the join button to get AirBoss magazine, where I break down past accidents and incidences and recommendations from authorities on how to save yourself. Remember to email me at captain.sq.a320@gmail.com and I will airfly you your copy. And now back to the show. ATC contacted them and they responded after 2 calls. The captain acknowledged to the ATC that he took off on the wrong runway and then proceeded to fly to their destination, Salalah Airport. The first officer was in a state of shock, and understandably so given the extreme situation. Upon landing, operations called them and offered them to step down and travel back as passengers. The captain did a walk around and found that there was no damage to the right main landing gear and could not see the D cuts on the tires. It is most likely the cuts were on the downside of the wheel. The captain then decided to fly back again, and this meant that the cockpit voice recorder was erased. And so, what can be done to avoid this situation? There is a system called RAS, which is Runway Awareness and Advisory System. This system uses data from the EGPWS together with the GPS and onboard sensors to monitor the aircraft movement around the airport. For example, if the aircraft is approaching the runway, there will be an oral message approaching runway 30. Or if aircraft line up, the oral message will be on runway 30, 2,400 meters remaining. Another example of the system is if the aircraft speed exceeds 40 knots and is still on the runway, an oral alert on taxiway will come up. One more system that could prevent taking off from a wrong runway is the takeoff surveillance and monitoring function developed by Airbus. Some messages that will come out to warn the pilots are takeoff runway too short, flight control flap MCDU disagree, flight control pitch trim MCDU CG disagree, takeoff speeds too low, takeoff V1, VR, V2 disagree, takeoff speeds not inserted, nav on taxiway, nav not on FMS runway, and many more. Unfortunately, both systems were not installed in the aircraft. Another way to prevent this situation is to check your ND before setting takeoff thrust. Then you would be able to see the SID you set and make sure that you are on the right direction. High speed regime is 100 knots and above, and pilots are recommended to be go-minded. However, the captain decided to take off when the aircraft was at 57 knots. Simulation shows that the aircraft was able to stop if the aircraft rejected the takeoff at 100 knots, as Sharjah Airport has a displaced threshold. The captain also did not inform the first officer that he was taking control, and so the first officer was still using the side stick and putting the aircraft nose down. When the aircraft rotated, then only the first officer let go of the side stick. Air traffic control also plays a part in ensuring safety. However, on that day, they were using a secondary tower and their view of the aircraft taking off was blocked by a lighting pole. There are valuable lessons that we can take from this incident. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.